Privet Kaktila. I'm Andre Faust. Well, what's pissing me off? Well, I'll tell you, there's a hell of a lot of things that are pissing me off. And of course, it all has to do with politics, our whole sociological fabric. It's all going to shits. I mean, there's just no other way of putting it. It's just things are getting worse from bad to worse and worse to terrible. We have artificial intelligence that are, coming into our world and taking over, or at least if not today, tomorrow it will be. Because, with artificial intelligence right now, we don't know what's real and what isn't real. We just don't know. With our news, we don't know what's real and what isn't. Because news is all made up of spin doctors. That's all what it's all about. So how do we filter things out? I'm going to start and back up a little bit. All right, I'm obviously not a spring chicken. I'm a senior citizen. And we hear our government, doesn't matter if it's a liberal or if it's a Reform Party renamed as conservative, or if it's that moron, that Irving Lackey that we know as Blaine Higgs. They all try to kiss ass to the middle class and to seniors. Well, as a senior, I'm tired to look at what am I getting out of seniors. I just received my tax assessment. I am no longer getting a GST. Well, I'm on the eve of 70 years old. So I think I qualify as a senior citizen. So what I create in my own efforts, I'm getting penalized at the other end. And like my income, I'm not making vast. I'm not in the 1%. I'm not even near. I'm in the class that would be referred to as the middle class. Yet, I'm no longer going to get a GST because they think I'm making too much. Well, holy shit, guys. Go to the grocery store and buy groceries now compared to pre-COVID. They're paying through the teeth. You're almost paying double for what's going on. Other things that we look at, for those of us who are still working, we're paying an enormous amount of tax. I'm a single person, so there is no mercy at all given to me in that respect. No, it's no mercy at all. Yet I'm paying through the teeth on everything, and I'm asking myself, what am I getting back? Our roads, okay. Well, fine. Our registration fees for vehicles and the fuel gas, at least a certain percentage of the fuel gas, or diesel or whatever, fossil fuel tax, we'll call it, is supposed to go for reparation of roads and whatnot. And then we've got a few dollars added onto that for the carbon tax. Well, the carbon tax, I understand why that is, and it's more related to the geopolitical side of things more than the Canadian practical end. Canada had to make commitments. I don't know if it was the G7s or the G20s. It was one of those summits anyway. We made certain commitments and promises that we'd do our best to control climate change. Okay, well, I don't want to branch it into what climate change is because that's a subject all of its own. But getting back, whether you're a small business or you're a person as myself, we're not like the oligarchs, like the Irvings and the big multinational corporations and that 1% that are making, literally millions and millions of dollars per year. They assess us something around $50,000. If you make over $50,000, you start losing this. Hey, we're the middle class. We're the backbone. We're the consumers. We're the ones that feeds the economic system. And you put the screws to us, eventually you're going to be putting the screws to yourself. And that's why capitalism isn't sustainable. Because all those fucking rich... Whoops. Excuse me, I said the word fuck. Oops, I said it again. They're getting tax breaks out of the yin yang. They're getting tax incentives out of the yin yang. And it's all under the guise that they'll create more jobs and whatnot. But that doesn't really happen, because what ends up happening, that becomes dead money, and they just hold on to it until it's a convenient time, or they'll reinvest it in something else. But as far as we, the working person, we get nothing. We get sweet dick all. We pay. We pay dearly. We pay GSTs. We pay HSTs. We pay sales tax. And if you got a car, you pay sales tax on sales tax. Every time you sell the car, you pay sales tax on the car. Oh, what friggin' kind of scam is that, right? We're told about how great democracy is. I'm just going to highlight a bit, is in the amount between taxes and fees. A lot of our dollars goes back to the government, both provincial, federally. Now, that's like, I don't have the numbers completely crunched out. When everything is paid, how much of our money, of our dollar earned, is going back to the government? Now, I bring that point up is because that was a criticism of communism. Is that in communism, you paid 90% of your earnings to the government. But in a communist country such as Russia, at least at one time, I can't speak for today because I haven't updated myself, but at one time in the former USSR, if you had any talents, you didn't pay for university. You didn't pay for high school. You didn't pay for anything. Housing. The state looked after your housing. So when you start kind of looking at it like that, I mean, those are the big expenses that we Canadians have to shell out to get our kids. To give an example, I remember, this is going back 1960, when one family, one working person could earn enough to be able to put their kids into higher education, university, own a car, and own a house mortgage-free. Then something happened in the late 60s and 70s that all changed. Now we become a slave to our governmental elected officials. So that, but what do? Do we sit in our hands and just let it happen? Or do we eventually say the buck stops here? It's a thing, it's in our hands. Now, the other thing that ends up working against us here in Canada is that we're all polarized, right? Because we've been conditioned from day one. Yes, from day one. From when you start school, and maybe even with the parents, and even maybe with the church that you're attending, is individualism. Hey, it's a thing. Well, there is a dark side of individualism, or the philosophy of individualism versus collectivism. And that is, if you're working as an individual, you're working for your own self-interest, which what capitalism is doing. All these big businesses, they're working for their self-interest. The banks are working for their self-interest. They don't give a rat's ass about you. However, it is stupid in the sense is that they depend on consumerism to build their wealth. There's this concept that's thrown around, right? It's called gross domestic productivity, or GNP. And, well, if I'm not making the money, I'm not spending. Now, again, that brings us back to this friggin' GST thing. When that was first introduced, and I honestly forget if it was Brian Mulroney, or was it Jean Chrétien? Who introduced it. Originally, it was brought in to be over a 5-year plan, and it was going to get phased out. The original concept behind it was the more you made, the more you spend, so therefore the more GST you paid out, and as a consequence of you paying that extra because you made more, you'd get more back. Now it's the inverse. And really, in order to collect all this GSTs and all these little bones that they throw at us every once in a while, you've got to be either at the lower end of the economic spectrum. You can't be in the middle class, because it's us, the middle class, that are paying everything. So I'm not going to continue too much on this rant, because like I say, I am pissed off about the whole system. We do not live in a democracy. We live in a plutocracy where our elected representative, again, regardless what party color, municipal, I mean, look at municipal, I mean, they got their friggin' tongues up so far off the developers' asses that, the developers are having orgasms. I know it's a colorful phrase. So we are in a plutocracy, not a democracy. Our elected representative works for the interests of the wealthy, not the middle class, not the underprivileged, but the elites. And unless we stand up and fight against it, it will continue. Our children will be, we'll have to, cover the, our burdens. It's there's a lot more I'd like to be able to get into, but then I'd have to get into some pretty deep economics, and that gets really complicated. And it's not that. I mean, so it's not that, and I'd be glad to talk about it. And I will if I get feedback on this video or any of the other videos that I do on the subject matter. I'll address it. If someone asks me to do a talk on, on our economics and how the strategies work against the working person, whether you're the working poor or you're a working senior. And like I say, us working seniors are really getting screwed up the ass. I mean, every way. So I don't make vast amounts of money, but holy shit, I'm not getting nothing back. And yet, on one hand, we have both the provincial and the federal government saying, "Oh, senior citizens, we got to look after them." Well, what context are they talking about? I mean, really, what is the context? I mean, does it mean they want to get us into a senior home and get us all drugged up and whatnot, and until we expire? What's that all about? Look after your seniors. I mean, they're definitely not looking after my interests, and I am a senior. Like I say, I'm shy of 70 years old. Yes, I'm a fighter. And someone, a friend of mine on a Facebook page said, "Andre, you're a rebel." Well, I was a rebel when I was 16, and I'm still a rebel at 69, so let the fight go on. And ladies and gentlemen and younger ones, thank you for turning on. And if you have anything that you wish for me to talk about, hey, let me know. Put it in the comments. Let me know, and I'll take the time out and I'll do my homework, and I'll produce a video. So until next time, take care and have the very best time that this life experience can give you. Live long and prosper. Thank you, Mr. Spock, for that line. I like that. So take care and Godspeed.